Yo, what is going on, y'all? It's your boy, it's your host, Calvin Domingo, aka Steezy A. Smith, breaking it down on another episode, on another edition of Breaking Down the Trade, brought to you by the 32-Bit Network. As was reported earlier today by Ian Rappaport, the New England Patriots are trading for DeVante Parker from the Miami Dolphins. And so we're talking about an intra-division trade. Yes, this might seem counterintuitive, but I think that for Miami, it was to the point where DeVante Parker, they deemed him expendable enough to where they didn't really care where they were sending them. They were just looking for the highest compensation possible. The highest compensation would suffice. And in turn, the New England Patriots are getting what the Miami Dolphins are losing in a DeVante Parker. I think that this is an absolute coup by the New England Patriots. I think this is very on brand from the New England Patriots. I think that this is another steal by the New England Patriots. Now, as was reported earlier today, the Miami Dolphins are trading DeVante Parker in a fifth-round pick in this year's draft for New England's 2023, so next year's third-round pick. The compensation might seem insignificant, especially given the fact that all future draft picks lose a little bit of value. And so, yes, next year the Dolphins are getting a third-round pick, but this year it'd be deemed, or at least it would have value equivalent to a fourth-rounder. And so you might be thinking to yourselves, damn, Amari Cooper couldn't fetch as much as a DeVante Parker, but I think it all comes down to contract. So when you look at DeVante Parker's contract, right, the New England Patriots are not only getting a bona fide number one wide receiver when healthy, which is a big caveat, by the way, especially in the case of a DeVante Parker, but when you look at the remainder of his contract, 2 years at just about, $15 million altogether? So he's getting paid a shade under $6 million in the next couple of years per year, with none of that, which is guaranteed. And so the Patriots are trading a third rounder next year for a bona fide number one wide receiver, and they're paying them under $15 million in the next couple of years. All of it, none of it guaranteed. And yes, I like what the Patriots did last offseason. They brought in, they held on to Jacoby Myers. They brought in a Nelson Aguilar. They brought in a Kendrick Bourne. They brought in a Hunter Henry, a Jonnu Smith. But nobody on that team even eclipsed 870 yards receiving. Nobody on that team eclipsed 83 receptions. Jacoby Myers, props to him for doing what he did. But we all knew that Patriots offense was missing something. And they had kind of a lackluster passing attack. It was efficient. They were able to move the ball down the field. Obviously, they rely on running the football. But they were missing this element. They were missing this dimension of their offense. And I know DeVante Parker had a hard time staying healthy, but we've seen the highest of highs with the DeVante Parker, right? And so back in 2019, a couple years ago, with Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's very aggressive, arguably the best quarterback he's ever played with, he finished with 72 receptions for 1,202 yards, 9 touchdowns on 16.7 yards of catch. So the 1,202 receiving yards was fifth in the NFL. The 9 touchdowns were tied for fourth in the NFL. And let's not forget, this man does have first-round pedigree. Back in the 2015 NFL draft, the Miami Dolphins thought of him highly enough to take him 14th overall in that draft. Coming out of Louisville, I've always had an eye on this guy. I always knew that he was going to be a star, but man, I didn't expect him to only play one full season in his entire career. Now, I don't know if that's going to change in New England, but for the New England Patriots to acquire and to obtain a bona fide number one wideout for the cost of a third-round pick next year, and they're getting a fifth-round pick in return, and they don't have to pay him any guaranteed money, this is an absolute steal, an absolute coup, another on-brand move by the Patriots. I mean, what other team do you know out there would make such an under-the-radar type of move? I mean, the Seahawks, my Seahawks probably, they've been making a couple of under-the-radar signings and trades, but the New England Patriots, I mean, for them to pull off an intra-division trade with the Miami Dolphins, look, the Miami Dolphins might have deemed him expendable enough. Maybe they thought that he was no longer good enough. Maybe they thought that, okay, this has been a bad fit for so long. He hasn't fit in the system. We just got to get rid of him. And whatever team steps into the play with the highest of offers, then we'll give him away to that team. And that's totally understandable. But the Philadelphia Eagles were also interested. They weren't willing to offer at least a fourth rounder this year or a third rounder next year. I don't know what's going on. I definitely love this for New England. I don't love it for Miami. But then again, I do understand why the Miami Dolphins did what they did. They had to do it. And so I think at the end of the day, the Patriots, they're still probably going to be in the market in the draft, most likely, to take a wide receiver or two. But DeVante Parker, I think if he can stay healthy, if he can stay on the field, this is an absolute steal. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to putting up 1,000-yard seasons, especially with an ever-growing and ever-developing Mac Jones. This has been your host. This has been your boy, Calvin Domingo, a.k.a. Steezy A. Smith, breaking it down on Breaking Down the Trade, brought to you by the 32-Bit Network. Hope you all have a great day. Stay blessed, and Steezy out.